Hey, this is Ben Solomon and welcome to the episode of the Techno Leadership Show. In this episode, we are going to be talking about how to research and prepare to apply for a tech or engineering manager role. Now, I'm going to walk through a couple of scenarios, a couple of jobs that I'll search and show you what I do when I look at the job description and things like that, so you can actually see my thought process and then decide how you can utilize. I want to share kind of frameworks, things that almost anyone can pick up and look at jobs and then combine that with your strengths, weaknesses, all that sort of thing, and make the right decision to apply for that role. And yeah, this is the new no hair Ben. After almost 15 years I've actually done this. Let's see how that goes. A bit too shiny there by the looks of it. Anyways, let's go to the window in question. So here we go. So what I've done here is I've got, because I'm in Australia and I'm used to this, so I'm just using jobs in this area. So Ict.com.au is the website that we generally tend to use in Australia. So what I've done is I've actually gone in here. I've picked the category, so gone into there, just looked at information communication technology and left most of it unchecked, just management and team leaders. So I've just put those two on. Now if I was also looking at engineering roles, I would look at those like that. It would have some engineering roles. I would have some engineering roles in there, engineering management roles in there, and you'd have this, but this would mostly be, unless they've miscategorized, most of the management for IT and technology would be in management and team leaders here. Yeah, under this one you might have, do they have manager, do they have all these engineering roles? Yeah, so they've got management here. So if you're going to engineering management in any of these areas, and supervisor, so you can go into that to look into that. But just for this video, I'm just going to go down this part. So I've done information communication technology, and I've done management, and I've done team leaders in this thing. I haven't put any city or suburb at this stage. Obviously when you're applying, you'd be looking at that, unless there are jobs that are remote. So in this case I've left these. I can just probably do full-time if I'm looking for full-time. If I'm looking for part-time, I'd do that. There's contract opportunities and casual roles. Usually especially in technology management, you're not going to see a lot of casual roles. You might see some contract roles, but it's usually full-time. On occasion I've seen some part-time roles that have 3 days a week sort of scenario, but they're rare. So if you have specific requirements in terms of how much you want to get paid, again you'll cut down to the chase by doing, let's say, 120 to 200k for example, as one of those things. So I've just left it sort of by relevance. This is a sporting team here in New South Wales. So let's just say I'm wanting to go into this job. So Sydney Swans, AFL team. So I'd look at this. What I would do is, yes, I'd look at, especially if I didn't know the business, I would be looking at this to see how they're presenting their business. In this case, I know it's a sporting club, a professional sporting club, so I can see that bit there. and I know about the club to an extent, but then I'll be looking at the opportunity. So they're looking at that in our operations team. So you know that it's more the operational aspects of technology there that they want to manage, and responsible for managing hardware, software, security, networks. So basically this is someone who is going to be managing the technology stack of the business, not doing development or managing development teams. It'd be most likely you'd have someone who is managing the infrastructure and those sort of aspects, and then you might even, if they have an internal development team, they might even have like an engineering manager who is working side by side with the information technology manager to then report to either a CIO if they have that sort of hierarchy, if not reporting to operations manager or CFO, or if you're really lucky then CEO. So there we go. So let's have a look at this one. So here we go. They're quite punchy in how they've gone about this. What they're looking for: strong communication, relationship building skills, strong personal drive, the highly developed systems management skills, highly developed IT technology, technical knowledge, highly developed problem solving and decision making skills, highly developed knowledge of LAN and WAN networks. Yeah, flexible. Yeah, this is kind of given in the IT and technology industry, especially as we go higher in the ladder. We know that this is kind of expected. And look, if you're someone who doesn't want that, obviously this is not a role for you, and you just move on to the next one. In this case, I'm just going to walk through this. So to apply, again, I like this. It's not every business that does job descriptions nice and clean like this. So I'm liking this actually. To be considered for this role, submit a one-page cover letter. So they have been very specific. When they say one-page cover letter, make sure it stays within one page at 11-point font. And then, yeah, basically, as I've said in multiple episodes in the past, a cover letter is there to sell you as the ideal person for the role and why you want to join our team. So, and then, yeah, send it to HR@. So what I'll do here is I would highlight that bit and say, go to sydneyswans.com.au. So here we go. I can see about the club. If I'm someone who doesn't know enough about the club, I can get to know the club and all the information about them. But in this case, what I'm going to do is do a little bit of research on one. I can see that they have pretty decent website, so they seem to, and they've got some streaming and podcasts, a few of those sort of things. So they do have some bias towards technology to make sure that their fans can, work with them easily. So community, so that's there. It's not a whole lot. Membership club. Oh yeah, here we go. So now I'll go into this. In most other places it'll be about us or about our people. So what I want to know is who is in various positions of leadership in this business. So I'll go to our people, and then board. Especially in this level, you're not really going to be affected by the board as much. So you'd probably most likely be looking at going there. Obviously, if you go into here, it might actually have that role, senior coach, IT manager. So that's there. Anyways, let's go out of there. Executive management. That's what I want to see. I want to see who's who. So that's the CEO, COO, football, finance, marketing and communication. So I want to go in here and see. Okay, it's going to HR, but in most cases it usually says who you'd be reporting to. Unfortunately, it doesn't say anything about who you've been reporting to here, which is not nice, but hey, it is what it is. So what I might do here is go into club, people, and careers, and I might go into here to see if they've got, there we go, that's fantastic. So watches, they've got the opportunity, apply further. Okay, so in this case it's directed to this person here, Heather Ward. Doesn't say who this role would be reporting to, because that's one of the main things I would be looking at. Who is this role reporting to? And then, okay, so this one doesn't say who the role reports to. So the next thing I'd be doing is going to LinkedIn. I might actually go, let me see, do I have this? Okay, so if I said Sydney Swans, there we go, company, go straight in here. 177 employees, so I go to jobs. Okay, so they've got that there. Again, I don't want, because they probably got the same thing there. What I really want to see is who I would be reporting to if I applied for this role. Okay, it doesn't have that there. And then you can look at people, and it gives you a fair idea of people here. You can see might look at IT, CEO, ICT system admin, okay, so they don't have much in there about that role, which is unfortunate, because I would have hoped that this would have had a bit more information. But yes, that's a bit of research that I would be doing. What I would be doing next in this scenario is I'll pick up the phone, I'll call Heather, and I'll find out more about the role. Questions that I'd want to know is why this role's become open, what is the vision, like what's in the pipeline for the next 3 to 5 years that this person is going to be driving, and then who this person is going to be reporting to. And if they say that it's reporting to a CFO or a operations manager sort of thing, I would ask them what the rationale behind that is. Like, it's just a question that I like to ask, because I think if the IT manager in this role is going to be the highest technology management person, I think they have to be reporting to the CEO, not to the COO, not to the CFO, but to the CEO, because it is an opportunity for innovation and growth for the business from the technology aspect of how they deal with their fans and clients and all that sort of thing. So that's my head space. Unfortunately, this one didn't have enough of what I would have normally looked for. So we know who the main people are, but we don't know who this role is going to be reporting to. Let me see if there's any other role. I actually picked one old one. Sorry, here we are. Don't know if this one's got who. So yeah, cool. So this is an old one. It's no longer advertised. So ICT Infrastructure Manager. So it says, so it's a good thing, it says the range, and then it tells you energetic, highly motivated, capable leader to spearhead, and then tells you what it's about, infrastructure and operations, and it's a newly created role. That's fantastic. So you know that they're growing and that they're looking to sort of expand the scope of the teams in there. And then you look at that, okay, and then you'll be your responsibilities. So that's what I'll be looking at. Responsible planning, yep, managing, providing technical leadership to ICT infrastructure team, which consists of and then technical disciplines including networks, telecommunication, hosting, and user computing. So you can see from that, do you as a person have the capacity, capabilities, the skills, the exposure, the experience to be able to manage a team that diverse? And then you look at contemporary technical solutions. ICT infrastructure will have contribute. So they already have the digital strategy. In most cases, they might actually have a link to their digital strategy. They don't in this case. So yeah, they've got a website to help understand their process, and salary packaging, which is like innovative leases and other things. Position description, this one would be good. Let's open that up. That'll give us a little bit more depth. Open, there we go. So it has health level 4. Okay, so they've given a code for that. So they've added those sort of things. Key accountability. So what we'd be looking at is this. Do I, as a person who is going to be applying for this role, do I have the capacity to do that? Or have I built enough skills and capacity to be able to position myself as an ideal candidate to get into that role and manage the team that they have? So that I'll be look at. Operational project demand, yep. Develop and manage all KPIs. And then I'll look at this to see if I have that capacity. So in my personal case, I've done all of this. I've led infrastructure teams. I've developed and managed KPIs. I've rebuilt the whole KPI system and put in systems in place for adequately managing and understanding our performance in organizations. And then I'd be looking, yes, I've done this, I have done that. So I'd be looking at it from that perspective. But what I also would be doing is, when I am writing my cover letter and writing my and preparing my resume, if I'm going to be altering it and making it more suited to this role, in most cases I wouldn't, like, I'd have one resume that targets IT management roles, and then I might have another resume that targets let's say team leader roles, if I'm going from an engineering position into one of these roles. If I've already been in IT management, then, and if I'm going into like a bigger organization in IT management, then I'll have just an IT management sort of resume, and then cover letter I write custom to every job that I apply for. And so in this case, I'd be looking at things like this, key accountabilities, all of these aspects that are here, plan, implement, and all of those sort of things. And what I would be doing is, and then this, especially in government sort of roles, which this is, in Australia especially, there is this whole thing of selection criteria, and so they would like people to use the STAR methodology to answer this. So which means situation. So talk about a situation where you exhibited this quality that they're looking for, and then what tasks you performed, and then what actions were required, and then what result was accomplished. So basically that's the kind of format that they expect. So here in Australia, you'd go through that and to show how your prior experience and how you manage this sort of situation in your previous roles. Even if you've been in an engineering role, wanting to go into management role, how did you demonstrate customer focus? How did you, have interpersonal communication? How did you demonstrate all of that to effectively create results? And so you bring those stories out from your experience to show how you were able to do that. So you would be mainly looking at ensuring that you cover these 7 selection criteria that they have here. That's the main thing that they'd be looking for. And then if you can also touch on how your strengths, your prior experience and all of that would help account for these accountabilities and challenges that you'd be able to solve for them. Always look at it as how can you create value for them, rather than saying I. It always pointed back saying you are looking for this, and from prior experience or in my previous role I've been able to do this to accomplish this, which experience I will be bringing into your organization to add value in this space. So that's the kind of thing that you'd want to be doing. And so that's look on the fly. I've had a quick look at it, and we've walked through it, and that's kind of what I would be doing. Each role I would be looking at what they have there, and then what my strengths are and how they match up, how my experiences match up to add value to this role. If they don't, I just move on, because there's more than enough jobs out there, more than enough companies out there, and you need to find the one that is suitable for you, for your strengths, for your values, and for the kind of work that you want to do. So hopefully that gives you some idea of how I think about this, how I search for jobs in management and leadership roles, and then look at what's shown in there to get a feel for the job. The other additional thing that I might do in some cases is go to the website, have a look to see their values, how they go about things, who is in positions of leadership, as I did with the other previous one that I showed, the Sydney Swans one. I'll look at who are the people in leadership roles, might even go into LinkedIn and see what they've accomplished, what kind of, do they do any charity work, voluntary work, whatever it might be, something that I can look at to see what their interests are, passions are, those sort of things. And then I'd like to know who I would be reporting to, and to get a feel for that person, and even see if I can get them on the phone, have a chat to understand what their expectations, because sometimes you have, someone in HR might create this and it's put out there, but the person who you're going to be reporting to has certain unspoken sometimes challenges that they're dealing with, and that they would like someone who can come in and take that burden off their shoulder. So if you can speak to the person that you'd be reporting to, that's fantastic. That means you have that opportunity to be able to get a little bit more clarity around the role, clarity around how many people you'd be leading, clarity around what the management structure or even the org structure as such looks like, and how you'd be adding value in those areas, which then helps you write your cover letter better, helps you present your resume or curriculum vitae better in a manner that actually positions you as the right candidate if you want to be positioned as the right candidate for the role. And a lot of times, like when you speak to someone on the phone beforehand, you get a feel for, oh, do I want to work under this person? And look, nothing wrong to walk away from something if you just feel, no, I don't want to be a part of this organization, or I don't want to be working under this person. Once you've spoken to them on the phone, you get a feel for them, and you go, I'm not quite comfortable with the way they go. Like, I ask questions about, how do they go about managing people and things like that. And in most cases, I have a tendency to be able to pick up if someone can be too much of a micromanager. There are times when I've missed it, I'll be upfront, but most of the times there is a tendency, you get a feel for people by asking them the right questions, and then, if you feel like you don't want to apply for the job after speaking to the person, yep, move on. There's so many other jobs. It's when we put pressure on ourselves as if this is, the job that we want. That's when we get needy and desperate and all those things, which shows in the way we apply for the job, shows in the way we interview for the job. And neediness and desperateness is kind of freaky, so it freaks people out, and it's just bad to have. So if you go in with the thing of, look, there's so many jobs out there, and I have choice to pick the job that I want. Go in with that confidence, that sort of persona, not being arrogant, but being actually saying, look, I'm happy with where I am right now. If I get this job, fantastic. If it's the right role for me, yes, I'd love to go for it. And if you find that, the person that you'd be reporting to, or the kind of culture that you'd be working in, is not for you, just move on to the next role. There's so many out there. Pick one, apply for it, and enjoy it. Hopefully this video that I've done would give you some idea of the thought processes that I think of when I look at a job ad, and how I go about positioning based on what's required there, and how I'd go for. In my case, I would prefer not to work in a highly bureaucratic organization like a government organization, just because there's so many constraints, so much micromanagement that can happen. There's so many layers of red tape and bureaucracy that I just usually don't like dealing with. So I wouldn't even really apply for that role. But if you're someone who likes to have those layers of bureaucracy, having a sense of technology not being on the leading edge, but moving slowly, take its own time, and move in that slower pace, that organization might be right for you. So you've got to pick the organization based on your strengths, your values, your way of operating. For me, I like to be close to the leading edge, not the bleeding edge for my computers at home, but for the businesses that I work for, I've usually tried to keep them as close to the leading edge, because I don't like letting things be too far behind the real world. It becomes so much more difficult to manage in the whole life cycles and all those sort of things. So I try to keep it that way. But in some organizations, no matter how much you want to do it, you can't do it. So you've got to find that happy medium, make sure that you're applying for jobs in an organization where you can thrive. Cool. Anyways, hopefully that's helped you out. I know this has been a long episode, but I wanted to get as much of my process, so to speak, out there so that you can watch this and you can look at the jobs and go, yep, this is what they're asking for. This is the kind of job that I want to apply for, and go for it based on that. So I wish you all the best in your journey as a tech professional, manager, and leader. If you like this episode, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button so that you're notified of future episodes as I release them. Have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you in a future episode.